So this is the Dvar Malchut, a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1992, shortly before he had a stroke, which rendered him mute, couldn't speak, couldn't appear in public. And this lasted for basically a year, until he had a really severe stroke, and that put him into the hospital. He was unconscious. And that lasted also for a while, till Gimel Tammuz, till the Gimel Tammuz. And then in Gimel Tammuz, the Rebbe departed the normal way of relating to us. And just like all the tzaddikim live forever, it says. But the Rebbe even more so, which is the thing we don't understand, but he will orchestrate the raising of the dead, that's going to happen to every Jew. So it makes sense that he's still alive in some ways, and we don't know what really means the raising of the dead, but it's one of the 13 basic principles of Judaism. So that's where it is. So now the Rebbe is saying, how can we speed up this whole process of revealing Moshiach and raising the dead and etc.? So he said, the Jewish people have to be in the world. Al Yadei, by means of Avodato Shel Yehudi, by means of the service of the Jewish people, Babiru V'zichach Olam, refining the world, who Paul, the Jewish person, brings about, Shagam Kafi Sheyehudi, as a Jew is found in the world, who Yochol, he is able to accept Quran or Panav, the shining face, the shining skin, the shining face of Moses. Kafi Sheyeh, as it will be, B'shleimut, in a complete way, the GEULA V'mitit V'shlema, in the future, total redemption. That's, we said, the third step. What has the Rebbe been saying up to now? Everything in the world, in creation, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And in this Torah portion, it is really stressed, this beginning, middle, and the end. The beginning is the first tablets. The middle is how the Jewish people sinned and the tablets were broken, and they repented. And the end are the second tablets. Says the Rebbe, the same thing with the world. There's the beginning of the creation of the world, the whole continuation of the world, and then finally the final redemption. And that can also be stressed in another way. We can see Aleph, Beit, Gimel. Aleph is God alone with the Torah. Anochi, the first of the word of the 10 Commandments. Beit is Bereshit, the whole entire existence of the world, from the beginning of the creation of the world until the very end, the Gimel, the end of the Torah, where it says Ad Hayom Acharon, the final redemption, when all the world will be filled with infinite good and godliness. That's the Gimel. A little bit of a hint of this was also when Moses went up on Mount Sinai. The first time he went up, he received the first tablets. That's the Aleph. After that, the Jewish people sinned. He broke the tablets, and he came down. He went up 3 times on Mount Sinai. The third time he came down, and it says that his face was shining. And he had to cover his face up, except for when he was talking to the Jews. When he was talking to the Jews, he uncovered his face. Says this is hinting at that in the future redemption, that's the Gimel, that's the third stage. Lo yakanef od morecha, that God will not conceal himself from us anymore. That our eyes will see the Creator. Like it was on Mount Sinai, but even in a more permanent and a deeper way. The Bnei Israel, the Jewish people, Gam, they will see the essence of God even as they are in the physical world. They won't have to close their stores, and they won't have to stop working. They can continue working as doctors and lawyers. The Rebbe will say, if everybody's going to be healthy, what do you need doctors for in the future? He says you'll have to have doctors to convince people that they're healthy. People won't want to accept the new true reality. And the doctors will have to convince them, my friend, you're sick. You're not sick. Until Alder says similarly will be in the whole entire world. It says there'll be revealed the glory of God, and all flesh will see God. It says even the stones from the walls will yell out. There will be revealed the power of the Creator in His creation. From these three things in Parshas Kitisa, we can learn something in the service of man for all time. Like we said before, that because this is a Torah portion, that we read it only once in the year, so there must be a learning in this Torah portion to the whole entire year. Everything in the world you have to learn from. How much more so you have to learn from something in the Torah? How much more so from something in the Torah that only comes once? It's a very important lesson. Alakas kama kama. How much more so when we are now in Shabbat? Excuse me. When Shabbat Parshat Kitisa itself, and that we read it, we have to live with the whole entire Torah portion. God is speaking to us, giving us a message. What's the message? That the Jew has the power to affect for good everything in the world, every detail, from the beginning until the end, step 1, 2, and 3, and everything which is between them, from the Aleph until the Taf. And in general, how the world is divided into these 3 levels of Aleph, beginning, Beit, middle, and Gimel. Let's begin, first of all of these 3 things, how they're found in day-to-day life. Immediately when a person wakes up from his sleep, when he becomes a new creation, so what does a Jew say? Modeh ani lefanecha. I am great. The Rebbe wanted to have this put in all of the, translated, of course, and put into all of the schools in America, the secular schools. The non-Jews should also say. What should they say? I mean, you pledge allegiance to the country, that's wonderful. I hope they're still doing it. But you have to pledge allegiance also because your country, you're living in your country, it benefits you. But how much more so you should pledge allegiance to your Creator. Your Creator creates you, He's really benefiting you. What are you supposed to say to give allegiance to your Creator? Modeh ani lefanecha. I am grateful to you before you, living King, that you have given me back my soul with mercy. Great is your faith in me. Right? You're giving me a new start every day. That's how we start off the day. I am grateful to you, living, existing King, that you gave me back my soul. That's the Aleph. That's the foundation of all of the service of a Jew in the whole day, namely total surrender and gratitude to God. That's the Aleph. Until that the person's whole entire existence is Aleph, namely Ani. Modeh Ani means me. My whole existence is Modeh, is just surrendered to God. And you say Modeh, first of all, surrendered I am to you. The first thing is I'm told surrender. And then there happens to be this miraculous thing called me that you're creating. Shekena Ani, because the true ego of a Jew, as it is, even how it is below, it's one with the true I, the true ego, if you want to call it, and the Anochi of God. Jews and God are totally one, which is hinted at in the letter Aleph. The letter Aleph itself hints at this unity. There's a Yud on the top, that's the good, that's a Jew. I'm sorry. From the bottom. Yud is below, there's a Yud down here. That's the Yud, the Yehudi. There's a Yud, Kodesh Baruch Hu, on the top, a Yud on the top. And there's a line in the middle which joins them. Like it's known that the simpleness of a Jew, the simple reality of a Jew is that he's one with the simple reality of God. And this idea of simple reality comes to Revelation when he says Modeh Ani. This is the idea of Hoda'ah, of surrender, gratitude, which is above any of the names of God. And therefore, the custom is that every Jew, even children, they say Modeh Ani. You don't have to have understanding. The fact that I exist is testimony that God exists. How do I exist? I don't know. Where does existence come from? Who knows? Well, God creates it the same way that God is real and he creates everything. So everything also is real. It's being created by God. The first time you feel that is when you wake up in the morning and say, well, I exist. Here I am. And immediately you say, the fact that I exist is a testimony that God exists. Modeh Ani, I'm surrendered to you. I surrender my I. I'm surrendered to God, to your I. That was the first word of the Ten Commandments. I am God that took you out of Egypt. Anochi. Even more, the word modeh, when we say that we are surrendered, we are grateful, this means that we are like secondary, we are given over. That's the aleph, ani, and that's the aleph of the ani. The word ani means I, but the beginning, the essence of this I is this letter aleph. That the main thing here of the letter ani, me, is the aleph. Immediately when a Jew wakes up in the morning, he immediately knows that his existence, his 248 limbs, his 348, his whole entire body, he exists. Only after that, there is, he says, ani. Then the ani does something, beginning by what's saying these words, ani murav. So what happens as soon as the Jew wakes up, before he understands anything, any person when they wake up, before his consciousness starts to work, he opens up and says, I'm conscious. But he doesn't say, I am conscious. There is consciousness first. But nevertheless, so the first thing he feels is his I. But he doesn't say, I am grateful to you, God. He says, Modeh Ani, grateful am I. The first thing is his gratitude, his whole I, his whole awareness above understanding that he exists. This is attached to being surrendered to God. That even though that before he was aware of his I, of his existence, nevertheless, his I immediately is in a state of gratitude to you, God. In other words, I'm not even aware that I am an I, that I can do anything. Just open up my eyes, I have consciousness. This immediately is surrendered to God. Afterwards comes the blessings of the morning. Then afterwards, the morning prayer. And after you finish praying in the morning, you go and learn Torah. This is all part of the aleph of a person's the day. But then afterwards comes the base, right? The first beginning of the day, you're given over to God. You say, God, I am grateful to you, Modeh Ani. You say all the rest of the blessings. You go and learn. You pray. You learn a little bit of Torah, maybe a lot of Torah. This is all part of the aleph, what you're giving over to God. Next step is base. What's the base? This is your day-to-day service of a Jew. Yotze Adam Lapalo Lavarise Ade Arab. A person goes out to his, it says in Psalms, Psalm number 110. We say this also in, I'm sorry, we're not. What did I say? 104. What happened? What happened? Oh, here it is. 104, right? Sorry, 104. We say this every Rosh Chodesh. Here we go. Okay, first of all, in the day you're devoted to God, the Creator. You create me. I love you. I pray to you. I learn your Torah. Then afterwards, you got to be involved in the world. That's step number 2, base. He goes from the beit into the world to the beit, the Bereshit Bora, the world, what God created. Then he has to work. He works the course of the day. We're in the world to benefit other people as well, right? If you make money, you benefit your family. You can give charity. And also you're working in your job. What are you doing in your job? Why are people giving you money? Because you're benefiting them. but nevertheless you're involved in the world. That's called minag derech eretz. You have to be in the matters of the world, in business, and be honest businessman, and be alacritous and clean and faithful in business. Then afterwards, in the final of the day, that's the gimel. What's the gimel? The completion of our service in the day. When a person before he goes to sleep, he sits and he thinks for a couple of minutes, and he thinks, what have I done today? How can I improve it? That's what's called the evening prayer, until the final says, Ach Tzadikim. Another gratitude to God of what happened behind me, that I finished the day. But when he finishes the service, until he says Kriya Shema before he goes to sleep, so he gives himself totally to God. That's the end of the day. Similarly, it is in the service of a person in his life, that people should live for long lives. But there's the beginning of the service, the middle of the service, until the finality of a person. Right? A person is born, then he has his whole life, and then after that he passes away. That's the way everybody lives. A person is until the raising of the dead. Then we'll see there's eternal life. Similarly, in our generation, this is the last generation of the exile and the first generation of the redemption. Since we already have this tremendous increase of our deeds of the Jewish people in the course of all the generations and the years before this, so therefore we have to say that we've already had 2,000 years of Jewish people serving God and suffering and praying and waiting and believing. Now, says the Rebbe, it's already finished. It's finished all of these refinements, how we have to refine the world. Now the main emphasis is on the completion of everything. Says the Rebbe, that's it, we're in the end. We have to bring the gimel, the GEULA, the true redemption, into actual revelation. The power to do this that each and every person, each and every Jew has, namely the fact that we can actually improve everything in the world, beginning from the beginning to the end. This comes from the Aleph Harishon, the Ani, the I of every Jew. Because the I of every Jew, the ego, the self of every Jew is connected to the Anochi, the self of God. Until Shafilu Kafi Yehudi, even as a Jew comes down into this physical world, Azai, then the whole world, we can say, was created just for me. The world was created for the Jewish people. The Jewish people are called the first. What does it mean they're created for the Jewish people? It's created for the Jewish people to fix up. Rosh Vereshis Lakal Abriya Kula. The Jewish people are really connected to the essence of God. So the essence of God, somebody wrote me a comment, and we learned in Torah Or, if you remember this week, that the Jews are higher than the angels. So I probably didn't listen to the class, which I don't blame him, but the title of the class was "The Jews are higher than the angels." So he said, "What a ridiculous thing is that to say? The angels are spirit, Jews are physical. Physical can't rule over the spiritual." And that's a very good point. And that's in fact exactly why we have to have a whole book over here to explain this to us, what's going on, because it doesn't make any sense on its own. It's completely opposite. But that's what the point of the Rebbe says. It wants to say the Jewish people are connected to the Creator, to the essence of the Creator, and even more to the will, the inner will of the Creator, Torah and the commandments. And when the Jewish people do the inner will of the Creator, so that gives them power to affect the whole entire creation, and the angels are part of the creation. So you're right, a Jew on his own certainly cannot affect the angels. That's ridiculous. But on the other hand, a Jew, when he's connected to God, and that's the whole idea of the Torah, he's much above the angels. The angels are just part of the creation. And the Torah and the commandments are part of the Creator. Now that also doesn't make any sense, but that's the idea of the giving of the Torah. When God gave the Torah in Sinai, God came down into a physical place. That was the Holy Temple, a physical place. And now the Rebbe said that every single Jew, by virtue of the fact that God came down to them on Mount Sinai, that every Jew carries with him, inside of him, this holy temple, the essence of God. It's connected to every Jew. We remember that we said that was the letter Aleph. There's a Yud on the top, that's God. The Yud on the bottom, that's the Jew. Yud is 10 aspects of God, the 10 aspects of the Jew, and the line between them, that's the Torah and the commandments. That joins them together. Yesh Lomar, we can say that this power, which is given to reveal God and change the world, which that's why we're here, is to improve the world, this power which was given to everybody comes from Moses. Al Derek says, similarly, as Pastush the Moshe should be called Dvar. Maybe I'll give you an example. I don't know if this is a good example, but recently I've been listening to piano music. I always like music. But anyway, I'm listening to these pianists, very great pianists. And, what's his name? Vladimir Horowitz. Wait, these guys are fantastic. Okay, now a piano, and they play these big grand pianos. A piano is a really big instrument. And if a person doesn't know how to play it, it can be a big white elephant in your house. I don't know if an elephant weighs less than a piano, but anyway, they're huge. If a person doesn't know how to play it, let's say you sell somebody, you got a big gift. What? A big gift. We're giving you for free Vladimir Horowitz's prize piano. He had this special piano that he had. It was made, whatever. Anyway, the thing is worth like, who knows, $20 million, a tremendous amount of money. They bring it to us. The guy doesn't know what the piano is, doesn't know how to play piano. What am I going to do with this thing? What am I going to do? I'll sell it. No, you can't sell the thing. You know what this is? This is the special piano. It's such a prize. It was given to you by this person. He likes you. If you sell it, it's like a big slap in the face. So what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with this piano? The thing is and kids that make noise with it. They come in the nighttime. The cat walks on it, wakes you up in the middle of the night, right? What am I supposed to do with the piano? Right? So you close it up. People say, what is this thing in the middle of the room for? You can't do anything with it, especially if you have a small house. It's the same thing with the world. The world is this big, huge thing that's just getting in our way. What are we supposed to do? So we can, like a cat, we can walk, we can make a little bit of money over here, get a little bit of pleasure over there. But if there's someone who knows how to play the piano, that's really nice. But playing the piano is also not good, because you can get somebody who knows how to play the piano or that thinks he does, and he makes all sorts of mistakes. And you have to get somebody who really knows how to play. Someone really knows how to play. And then you have to have the proper music for playing. And then if you put the whole thing together, it's fantastic. Of course, it's fantastic for people who appreciate piano playing. Right? Like the joke about the person that says, with my piano, I can tell the time. I know exactly what time of the day it is. He says, how can you do a thing like that? He says, listen, when he starts playing, the neighbor starts knocking. Hey, it's 4 a.m. What are you playing the piano? If you don't know how to play, so all sorts of negative things can come out of the world. The world. She says, but, says the Rebbe, if you do know how to play it, if you have the inspiration and you have the right music, it can be, and people appreciate it, it'll be beautiful. Nothing like it. And piano music is like, okay, you can have an end to it. Okay, how much can you listen? But the world, when the world is harmonious, and says the Rebbe, every Jew knows how, we have the Torah, that's the music. And every Jew is an expert. It was given to us at Mount Sinai. All we have to do is just wake this up inside of us, and then we can play. The whole entire world will become a big symphony. But as it is, it just sort of gets in our way. The Yeshlom, we can say that the power to reveal this is every single Jew. This was given by Moses. Moses made us all experts. Alder says similarly as Patusha, the Moshe called Dvar, the representative of Moshe in every generation. But Dvar and Uzeh, in our generation, who is this Moses that inspires us? That we know how to fix the world up, the whole entire world, and change it from this big, this big white elephant to be this amazing symphony of joy and love and happiness. Who gave us the ability to do this? It's coming through the Moses of our generation, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Of course, and the Rebbe always said about himself that he's just a extension of the previous Rebbe. She'al Yado, by means of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Nifalo Kol again, there are all the three things of the first tablets, the breaking of the first tablets, the breaking of the tablets, and the last tablets, together with also the shining light from the face that gave the ability to every Jew to fix the world up. How much more so when we're now found in Shabbat, that we're reading the whole entire parsha of Kitisa, Rosh Bnei Yisrael. Tisa, elevate. Who elevates? Moshe Rabbeinu. Elevates all the Jews. Shenos of the Kak, in addition to the fact that the Jewish people, they themselves are the head in general, but also when connected to Moses, they can elevate the heads, that Moses elevates the heads of all the Jewish people. This gives afterwards the power to every Jew that they can do what it says in the middle of the Torah portion. They can bring this aleph, the first tablets, and into the beit, which is the world, the broken tablets, ad until the matzav tachton, the lowest level possible. We can transform the broken tablets, the sin of the golden calf, and elevate it to the last tablets with the revelation of the light of glory coming from the face of Moses. And that's and when Moses spoke to the Jewish people, he revealed this light to them. And he made it so that it is the power of every single Jew to accept that by means of our and utilize it until that by means of our service in the world, we can make it that the whole world receives this shining light of the face of Moses. And even more, in addition to the fact that every Jew receives this light of godly light, and we can bring it into the world, it's also even more. Nosaf, in addition that every single Jew receives this revelation of the light of God, it also can bring this light of God in every single, that from every single Jew, mitzad b'chinas Moshe, and the Moses of every, that's inside of each and every one of us. Not just that we receive it, but it activates the Moses himself inside of each. We all become like Moses. First of all, the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, he explains in the Tanya what it says, Ata Yisrael, and now Jewish people, it says, excuse me, if you look in the beginning of chapter 42 in the Tanya, so he says, here we go. Oh, the first Rebbe explains in the Tanya what it says now. Jews, what does God want from you? Only a little thing, to fear God. Ask the Talmud, ask the question, is fearing God, this is all God wants? Like it's this little thing that God wants. Milsa Zutrasi, it's a small thing. Answers the Gemara, yes. Regarding Moses, it's a small thing. That there is this level of Moses, Moshe, inside of every single Jew. By means of this, fearing God, being aware of God, being surrendered to God is a very small, easy thing. According to this, so now we have to understand on the other side, how is it possible to say that by Moses, that there is a thing which is small, easy? How? This says we can say that the answer is that Moses himself, there's a lot of different levels. There's the foot of Moses, there's the body of Moses, until there's the head of Moses. In regarding to the lower level of fear, having an awareness that God exists and doing what God wants, this is which is the feet of Moses. This is an easy thing, but there's a higher level of fear. This is a healthy fear. Above this, there is Moses, in a person, this level of fear let's say in the worldly day-to-day, something like, let's say, a person's conscience, right? A conscience brings a person fear. What type of fear? From what? Fear from doing the wrong thing. Fear from doing, not a fear of being punished. He steals something, his conscience says, give it back, right? Give it back. You stole $100 from an old lady's purse and you got away with it, right? It fell on the ground. An old lady's walking on the street and $100 fell from her purse. And you picked it up and you look around, there's no surveillance cameras, there's nothing. You can get away. All of a sudden your conscience says, don't do it. Give it back, right? That's what's something like that is like the upper fear. You're afraid of being bad. You don't want to do what's wrong. It says a Jew has this upper fear of God, that he's afraid of God's essence. Is shame. It says in the Tanya. He's ashamed of doing bad. This is a level which is inside of a Lamailam. He said there's a level of Moses. There's the lower fear where you do what's right because you're afraid of getting punished. There's a higher level of that, which that's a medium level. Of fear, which is a medium level of fear, mixed in with a fear of punishment and also shame of being far from God. And then there's the highest level, which is the head of this is what's finally it comes out to be. These are the rays of the light of Moses. This is the crown of the kingship. Like people that fall down, they see their king. They're so enamored of the king. Now there's no king, but they love the king so much that they're ashamed to do anything wrong. This is the ability of every Jew to shine out this awareness of God that everyone in the world will feel it. This was given to us by the Moses of every generation. And we become like the Moses of every generation. Because of this, a Jew has the ability to have all of these levels of awareness of God, from the smallest level to a medium level until the greatest awareness of God. Every single Jew has this ability. Even the crown, which is called the Karnei Hod. These rays of glory that came from Moses' face, he gave it to each and every one of us. That's the novelty, that this level of the crown, the true crown of God, is not relevant to sides of bad. This is only given to the Jewish people. And even more, the Jewish people, they're the sons of kings, they're princes, and even more, they're kings. But not only that, but it was given in all times and in all situations, even now in the situation of exile. Every single Jew, no matter how far away he is, presently in Torah and commandments, in connection to God, every Jew has the crown of the king, these rays of glory coming out of his face. Every Jew. What does this refer to? We're going to talk about it, God willing, tomorrow, Friday. Friday, 8:15, we'll meet and we'll finish this beautiful Sikha of the Rebbe. 1 minute, just 1 minute here. 1 minute, maybe we can finish it now. No, we'll finish this tomorrow, God willing, and we'll also do a short Sikha in Yiddish from the Rebbe. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, 3 o'clock today, there will not be a class at 3 o'clock. There will not be a class at 3 o'clock. I have to go somewhere, unfortunately, to a funeral. But I'll try to somehow, I'll make the class afterwards so people will be able to see it. Have a good day with Moshiach now. Shalom uvracha.